You have to have a plan for what you're going to do when it gets hard. When you want to quit, when you know what has made you quit in the past, and when you know that thing that made you quit is going to show up again, what are you going to do? When you have a plan for how you're going to handle it, you'll stay committed. When you don't have a plan, you're just going to react, and probably not react in a way that will make you proud of yourself. So this is one of the biggest hacks that I've discovered more recently in my career and my adulthood, whatever you want to call it, is typically on goals where I would have a hard time following through, or it got really difficult or scary or hard. I would just push myself more to say, you're Evan Carmichael, you do scary, difficult or hard, let's go do this. And I would summon the extra strength to have to get through whatever I was struggling with. What I've done more recently, and why I love having this video on, is very timely, is trying to prepare in advance for some of the obstacles that I know are going to come. So as an example, I've done this recently, this week. Last week I had a really rough week. I wasn't sleeping very well. I had some big interviews for my channel. I was nervous about them. I was staying up late, and when I can't sleep, I get restless legs. My legs are jumping all the time. And if I'm in bed for more than 20 minutes, my legs start to get jumpy. And I've tried magnesium, and I've tried vitamin B, and I've tried a whole bunch of other things to try to make it go away. And it's still something that I'm struggling with. The thing that's worked out the best is actually stretching. So I stretch out my calves. I think partly it's also because I'm on a trampoline all day long, and I'm getting 20,000 plus steps in or jumps in a day, that I need to stretch my calves the other way for them to kind of, I don't know, de-stress. Anyway, maybe too much information. But what was happening last week was I would lie in bed, I would do my stretching before, lie in bed, and then I'd get restless legs, and so I'd get up and I would do some work or play some League of Legends or whatever, and then I would fall asleep and get tired because I was so exhausted. And last week I had a 4:30 in the morning day where that's when I went to sleep, a 2:30 in the morning day. And so I set a new plan on the weekend to say, okay, I can predict that this is going to happen, right? I can try to muscle my way through like I normally would do and say, I'm Evan Carmichael, I do difficult things, just stay in bed, try to muscle your way through it, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work. I said, you know what, I'm going to have a plan this time. What's my plan? My plan is going to be, I'm going to do my stretching before I go to bed. And if I get the restless legs, jumpy legs, that comes up after 20 minutes because I haven't fallen asleep yet, I'm going to get up and stretch again. And so that's what I tried. And it worked. And so I got up and I stretched. I was super tired. I didn't want to stretch. I would rather just go work or something and hop on my trampoline and then 2 hours later come back to bed. But I stretched for a couple minutes and I said, I'm just going to try it. Let's try this. I stretched for a couple of minutes. I went back to bed and I fell asleep. Like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I didn't stay up till 2:30 or 4:30 in the morning. This is great because I had planned for it more effectively. So whatever goal you set for yourself, it always comes back to habits, right? Like, what are you doing on a consistent basis? And habits invariably will get hard. There will be moments where the habit is really difficult to keep. Right? When you're feeling bold and motivated and confident and you had tons of sleep and everything's going right, it's usually pretty easy to stay consistent on the habits. But when obstacles come in your way, it's going to be harder. And so the things that will trigger you to want to quit, right? So for me, it was getting jumpy legs after 20 minutes and being in bed. When you can figure out your trigger, the thing that in the past has made you quit, why you've gone kind of stop and start and stop and start and stop and start. What were the triggers that made you stop? What happened? And then when you're feeling bold, motivated, confident, have enough rest, all of that energy, maybe that's today. To plan for the days when you're not going to have as much, when you know that this roadblock's going to come up again, when you know that this person's going to call you and it's going to send you down some spiral, right? The trigger that's going to make you stop, the trigger that is going to make you stop. What is your reaction going to be? And plan for that. It makes a huge, huge, huge difference and allows you to stay committed to your goals. Okay, so how do you do it? I have a 3-step process I'm going to walk you through. But before that, here's a quick message from John Asraf.
Hey, this is John Asraf, and do you love good books? I love to read because there's so much wisdom in books. You get to take somebody else's knowledge, skills, research, pay $15-20, and you learn so much. Now, I'm reading this awesome book called Built to Serve. Find your purpose and become the leader you were born to be. And one of my new friends, really smart guy, really great guy who serves a lot of people, Evan Carmichael, wrote it. And I'm going to read a little bit from chapter number 1. And I love this piece, and maybe it's because I just watched the series on TV on Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, which is really great, by the way, also. But one of the things he says here is everybody has Michael Jordan talent at something. Everybody has a Michael Jordan talent at something. You just haven't found it yet. Or you have and you don't believe in yourself enough to go all in. To go all in, right? And you're a genius. I believe you're a genius. And so does he. You're amazing. You were not meant to live a photocopy of someone else's life. You were not created to wake up and do work that is below your capabilities. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something, and you need to uncover exactly what your purpose is and how you can serve and use the serve. So lots of pearls and gems and motivational pieces. Pick up Built to Serve. Evan Carmichael, Rising Star.
Okay, so how do we plan to stay consistent on our goals? 3 steps, let's go. Step number 1 is understand what is the habit that you're having a hard time staying consistent on. There are some habits that I can do that might be really difficult for you, but easy for me, and vice versa. Super easy for you, but difficult for me. What I care about is, what is a habit that actually means something to you that you're having a difficult time staying consistent on? Whether it's something health related, exercise, diet, whether it's business, making videos, creating content, following up with people, staying ahead of your schedule, being on time. Like, everybody's got their own issues. For you, what's the most important habit that you want to stay consistent on that you've historically had a hard time doing? Write that down. Step number 2 is, what are the triggers that are preventing you from staying consistent on that habit? So if your habit is you want to eat healthy, and you've dieted and stopped and ate healthy for 3 days and then stopped. Like, what are the triggers that prevent you from staying consistent? What are the triggers that make you want to stop? So if it's eating healthy, maybe it's that you don't have a good night's sleep, and so that makes you want to eat all sorts of crazy food. It could be that you're going to an office party or you're hanging out with your colleagues and all they're doing is eating junk food, and that makes you want to eat the junk food. Like, what are the triggers that are coming up that every time this happens, you fall off the track, and this happens again, and you fall off the track, right? A one-off I'm not so concerned about, but you've already been trying to keep on this habit, and you know that you haven't stayed consistent, and the things that are causing you to not be consistent are happening constantly. They're repeated patterns. So what are the most repeated patterns for you that help you fall off track? And then step number 3 is understand, well, what will you do right now when that trigger comes up? When you don't sleep well, what will you do to make sure that you don't go cheat on your diet? When you do have to go out with your friends, what are you going to do to make sure that you don't eat all the nachos or whatever they're eating that makes you want to eat it, right? When you identify what those triggers are, while you're feeling bold and confident and amazing and full of potential, create the plan to say, okay, when this happens, I'm going to do this so that I don't end up down here. Because too often when this happens, we just slide all the way down. We're putting the gap, right? We're putting a stop. The slide stops here. It doesn't stop way down here. When this happens, what are we gonna do? Put that into place for yourself and watch your life change. If you want another Evan Rant video that just might give you the confidence you need, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I live 85% in the present, in the moment, 15% in the future, and 0% in the past. 85% in the present, in the moment, 0% in the past, and 15% in the future.